Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. This morning, Kyle and I are joined by our good friend and colleague, Carolanne.bozarth with Key Mortgage, who is going to help us continue the conversation that we started last week about multiple offers and how to win. Good morning, Carolanne.
Good morning, everyone.
So everybody, today we're going to do our typical statistics, and then we'll roll into the whole mortgage, how to win in a low inventory market conversation. So, but first, ladies, I was looking for a good GIF or video of a football kickoff because it is Super Bowl Monday, which means the real estate market has taken off, but
Right.
of course, we all three in the room here know it's already taken off.
Yeah.
It's already insane.
I literally, it was really busy yesterday during the day, like up into the game. And I reached out to a listing agent on behalf of my client at I don't know, it was probably 5 o'clock. And, the listing agent answers the phone. He's like, okay, I'm going to try to get an answer before the game starts. It's like
Everything's
crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Stops the game.
For me, my experience has been that that buyers are acting like it's a post, or were in the last several weeks acting like it was post Super Bowl, but the listings still are slow to come.
Yeah, they sure are. And let's talk about that. I've got numbers now through January. So let's talk houses first. 58 homes closed in January. But look, guys, January is typically our lowest month. So as far as lowest months go, it's still higher than the last two Januaries. So I take that as a positive sign.
For
59
sure.
homes went under contract, which was a blip up. 154 homes are for sale. Again, a blip up from December, but look at it over the years. We're still historically low on inventory. It equates to a 1.9 month inventory. And the median sales price is 1,330, but Kyle, would you agree with me that perhaps it's just because we're missing a few luxury sales here? I don't believe they're going down.
They are not going down. It's that there are so few out there, and listen, anytime a house that's in the range that we talk about, which is 1.2 to 1.8, come on the market, they go off the market. And
Like
there's not many. Right.
All right. Showings are back up. Showings per listing, 6.1 in January. All right. And this is like singing the same song again, guys. 559. Again, January is the lowest month for closings. 674 under contract. 1666 for sale. Again, a little blip up, but we're at the bottom historically in inventory. It's just crazy, right?
Crazy.
2 months worth of inventory, which, you can see it on the left of the graph. We were almost at 8 months of inventory during COVID, and it just keeps getting lower and lower. Condo buyers are out there, 7 showings per listing in the month.
Can you go back for a quick second? You see the previous spike? That's an March, April one. This is January.
Very good point. Right. They're, as you said earlier, they're out of the box already. Yes.
Oh my God.
450,000 median sales price in condos, all-time high. This is the 6th month in a row that we have hit all-time highs on our condos. And condos are coming back from the COVID slump. And I'm
going to tell you that I was with another broker, a listing broker. I was bringing a buyer to his listing, and he's one who likes to opine on things. He's got his point of view on all sorts of things. And he said he really sees Chicago prices soaring as this decade goes on. We are in such a sweet spot. We've got our challenges as a city and as a state, but there is so much going in our favor that prices are going to rise. People are coming and they're going to continue to come. So I thought that was really exciting. So people buy now.
Right. Well, if you can find a place, but we'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is just January versus January. So our January units for condos up almost 29% versus last year.
These are sales.
23.
These are closings.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That shows how active December was.
Very.
Yeah.
I had my busiest December in
Yeah.
the last 5 years this year. Mhm.
Yeah. Crazy. And here, look at this. This is detached units.
Wow. I mean, I'm not surprised at all based on how active I was in November and December, but wow.
I know, right? Okay. So mortgage rate 6.89 is Freddie Mac from last Friday. And then I'm not doing the whole rent thing, but just to show you that the median rent in the near north side is 32.89.
So wait 1 second. I was, I don't normally work with renters, but these are people I really like and care about, so I've been helping them. Every 50, I would make a schedule of showings, and then half of them would disappear because they've already been rented. It is going so fast right now. So just FYI, people, I have a feeling we're going to start to see these numbers much higher.
Rents are going to go up for sure.
Rents are going up, and they'll show up in the data.
Yeah, absolutely right. So that's all I have for stats. I wanted to kind of zip through it. We've been singing the same song for a few months now in terms of low inventory and so forth. And that's why we have Carol Ann to talk about how to win in this market. So first of all, Carol Ann, we see our own business. We talk to our colleagues, but you work with lots of agents and see lots of what's going on. So fill us in on what you're seeing right now in the market.
Yeah, sure. So as you guys know, I work, in the city, in different parts of the city. I also work in different parts of the suburbs. So, like I said, I had my busiest December. I feel like it just hasn't slowed down. There is definitely way more buyers than there is inventory, which is why we're seeing all the multiple offers. There's definitely no doubt about that. So, becoming strategic when you're making offers is becoming so important in terms of, how do you get your client's offer accepted? It's just not the run of the mill. Let's just Sunday night, let's go home and write the offer. It's like your job has become so much more difficult, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's as agents are, talking with their clients about all the different terms of the offer and the price, I can't tell you how many, I had probably 4 or 5 clients making offers yesterday. And for each client, I sat down and ran through the numbers because, if the agent says, okay, this is where I think we should go on price, the first thing that the client needs to understand is what does that mean to them in their monthly payment?
Right.
So I'm on the phone running the numbers with them. And I think what the agents really appreciate is that, sometimes especially for a new buyer, if the agent is suggesting we need to go 20,000 over list. Well, 20,000 sounds scary to that buyer until I have them on the phone and I explain to them that means it's $130 more in their monthly payment. And some buyers they're okay with that 130 for that $20,000 increase. So, having your lender partner with you on a Sunday when you're in these crazy times is very, very important. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that we ended our week with last week was appraisals, because the first thing everybody talks about is price, and let's up the price, up the price, up the price. I had 4 offers on division this week, all of which were over list price.
Okay.
So let's just this is just a funky example.
Yeah.
Let's just say the purchase price is $700 and the buyer's put in his contract he's going to get a 20% down mortgage a loan for $560.
Mhm.
But let's just say the appraisal only comes in at $675. Now, for our viewers, the bank has promised to lend 80% of the value of the property, not 80% of the purchase price. So that means they're going to issue a loan for 540, not 560, with a deficit of 20. So if that happened to you, what would you recommend to your buyer? Or what are the different options for fixing that problem?
So actually the way it works is what we do is we loan on the appraised price, right? So that down payment that person, had originally just was going to make, that 20%, which is, I can't do the math right off the top of my head. I think it's about 115,000. That down payment is no longer 80%
Right.
because the actual value. So it actually is now about a 17%.
Except that now they're under the PMI conforming.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So that's their choice. They
So
can,
option one is to go 17% down instead of 20% down, and you're paying PMI.
correct. And the
For
PMI, if
or-
your credit is decent, like over 740, the PMI on that would probably be about $35 a month.
totally acceptable.
And remember, PMI no longer stays with you for the life of the loan. So you pay the PMI for 12 months, and then assuming that the value of your property has gone up 3% in a year, which I don't know, Chicago market, probably, right? Yeah. So you have an appraisal done, which shows now the new value, and then you request that the PMI be dropped. So for a lot of people, that's easier than bridging that gap,
Yes.
which is what you would need to do if you wanted to stay at 20%.
But
Right.
you're also great at helping them understand that you don't have to have 20% down. 70% down is considered a very good down payment, because I think they feel shame that they haven't saved up all this money and and the answer is no, 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 no. The objective here is to get you in the home so that you start building this asset wealth for yourself.
Right.
And
Right.
don't get locked. It's like people get freaked out about weight and size. It's like, stop it, everybody. Just look good.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
and I have some clients who, well, first of all, there's lots of different reasons why people maybe shouldn't put down 20%. I mean, one, they could park their money elsewhere and have it grow. That's one reason. I mean, if they can tolerate the monthly payment, I have some clients doing that. They're investing in the stock market with that extra 10% rather than putting it in the down payment. And the and then the other thing is that some people are setting their purchase price range, right, based on how much they have 20%. So
Yeah.
they say I have this 20%, so I can't go over this until they talk to me. And then I explain to them why sometimes it doesn't even make sense to put down the 20%. And the only time the appraisal issue would come up is if in this scenario they were putting down the minimum 3%, then they do have to, and there's an appraisal issue, then there's no room to soak it
There's no
into,
wiggle room. But
to
even at
absorb it.
5%, they really don't have wiggle room.
Yeah, yes, they could go down to 3. I mean, you can, if they're putting down 5, they could go down to 3. 3 is the minimum on a conventional loan. So, yeah. So
But your
even if
rate
they're,
goes higher too,
and
correct?
yes, and PMI, to be honest, the PMI at 3% is higher than even 5%. When you're at that bottom, the lowest, PMI can definitely be a little bit more pricey. So, those are scenarios that we would run. But
So,
yes, and then,
but to
yeah,
your point, Carolanne,
yeah,
you had mentioned that one of the things you do is you call listing agents. My Chippewa had like 10 offers on it this week.
Wow.
And of those 10, only one lender called me. And I know you call all the time when your people are in multiple offers. Tell us how you help your
yes.
buyers.
Yes. So multiple offers, very important to get that reach out call. And
She's frozen.
that
Yes.
offer being submitted. What?
You froze.
And you're frozen again.
Am I good?
Now, say it again. Say what you do.
Okay. So within 30 minutes of my client's offer being submitted, I will reach out to the listing agent. And I want to provide reassurance to that agent and that seller that this client there are not going to be any issues with the mortgage. So I will explain everything that I've done in terms of documents that I've reviewed. I will assure the agent that there are no red flags, that and then in terms of we can't give away personal information.
Right.
But by saying there's no red flags, this is a slam dunk loan, it's very clean, this is a great buyer, those kinds of things. That's what the seller's looking for.
Right.
Because as we all know, there's the exact opposite of that buyer. There is a self-employed buyer where it's very tricky, where it's, so when I have a buyer that is in that situation, and especially if that buyer doesn't have the 20% down, I will also emphasize that with the listing agent. That, although this buyer doesn't have 20% down, because I don't want my buyer to go to the reject pile just because they don't have 20% down. And this is part of educating, listing agents as well, because I know most agents think that the buyer is stronger because they have 20% down, and that's not always the case.
Right.
That buyer with 20% down could be a self-employed borrower whose income hasn't been calculated correctly. And it gets to underwriting and it falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
So more so that what you want to know from the lender is how simple and clean and easy this file is at 5% versus somebody who's putting down 20% who's self-employed.
And do you do what I do? Do you Google the buyers when you get like multiple offers? Do you Google the buyers?
Do I? Not always. No.
My
clients sometimes do when they look at the contract.
I've started to do that just to see, really looking for job history. And I know, to your point, are they just so you can give your seller some thoughts? Yes, it may be only 10% down, but they've been working at so-and-so for X, la, 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 and they went here, this one looks like it's got legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really to give yourself a sense of,
I just wonder, like in multiple offers, when agents are sitting there, I bet they just don't have time to do that, right? So a simple phone call from the lender, giving that reassurance, I just think it's important. And, it's just another way to have the offer stand out. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about today is our fully underwritten pre-approval.
Yes.
Right.
So,
and you've got somebody that I know that's working with that right now.
Yes. So it's, normally when you go under contract, that is when your file goes to the actual underwriter. And as we all know, the actual underwriter is the one who's going to approve the loan, not the loan officer who's giving you that pre-approval letter.
Right.
So for the secure shop, we send the borrower to the underwriter and we have the borrower underwritten without a property. And what that tells the seller is that this person has already been fully underwritten and approved, and all we need is a contract and an appraisal. So it's almost as good.
Cash.
It's almost as good as cash. It's almost as good as cash. We can do a quick close, 2 weeks. Again, if it's a condo, that can be sometimes tough because the condo obviously still has to comply with Fannie's, lending questionnaire and all that jazz.
But a good listing agent will know that before and know
absolutely right. And a good listing agent will have done their due diligence, and you guys all have access to those forms and questionnaires. Right. And so when you're taking a listing, you're going to be looking at that and trying to get answers to those questions and make sure that your building doesn't have any issues. And so, yes, exactly. So this secure shop, live lots. I mean, I'm just pretty much setting up, my back team can't handle all of my buyers going through Secure Shop just because it's actually taking underwriters. But I have a lot of my buyers, and especially my self-employed borrowers, because
Yeah.
that anybody with variable income, tricky income, those are the first ones that are going to Secure Shop for me. Because those are the ones that I can't say super clean, slam dunk, I can say that once they've been through the Secure Shop, but it wouldn't be an authentic call if I said that, even though I feel like I've calculated the income correctly. We all know that that can always be a little bit trickier. So
Are you finding that that banks are requiring appraisals on everything these days? It seems I'm getting far fewer requests for appraisal.
No, and as a matter of fact, the Fannie Freddie platform is issuing more PIWs, property inspection waivers. So yes, we're getting more of those. And sometimes,
Fewer appraisals.
yes, you're right, right.
Okay.
And
Wait a minute.
sometimes
Wait. You're doing more appraisals or more
no,
drive-by appraisals?
more what we call, they're not even drive-bys, they're called property inspection waivers, PIWs.
Okay.
No, we're getting more of those where we're not, the lender's not requiring an appraisal. And sometimes even with just, like if you had 50% down, you're more likely to get it type of thing.
Mhm.
But now 20% down, I think I have, yeah, we're seeing more of them.
I think that's a recognition of the rising value of our marketplace.
Value. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there will be states. We've been talking about this, and you and I offline, about how certain states are starting to get more inventory. Sort of property values are starting to. The growth is slowing or dropping a bit.
Texas and Florida right now.
Florida and Texas are starting to get a lot more appraisals.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for agents, for you guys, in terms of, what can you guys do with your clients, I would say mentally getting them ready for this market, right? And saying, okay, when we go out, we have to have all of our ducks in a row. There is no time to mess around with the fire drill pre-approval. Um, I mean, we do them, and Kyle, we do them. We just experienced one recently. We can do it, in the same day, but really, really having your buyer understand also too, that they might have to make a decision in a day. If you see a property on a Sunday, they might be best and final Sunday night at 5 o'clock.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Carol Ann referred to something, everybody. I had clients who thought that they were ready to buy, they were going to have some support from a family member, and that they would be able to get a loan for 80% and take care of the rest through a down payment assured by a family member. And I kept saying, you got to talk to a lender. And then Carol Ann was helpful in setting their expectations, that this is a year or two out. And they were so grateful, Carol Ann, know what they're doing rather than get their hearts set on something that they couldn't then do. So thanks. And let buyers, don't think you can just go out there. Talk to somebody like Carol Ann and understand what you can afford. Sometimes you can afford a lot more than you think you can afford, and sometimes you can afford far less than you think.
Yeah. And it's hard for you guys to know. I mean, I got a call on Friday at like 5 o'clock from, an agent, and a very, very successful agent who's been around for a long time. And she was like, I have this great property, this ranch in Wilmette. They never come up. I want to write this offer before it even hits the PLN. Can you, and she, from what she can tell, she thinks that her clients can do it. And I said, sure, let me talk to him. And it was self-employed. I had to go through 2 years of tax returns, and they didn't qualify. And, it was, yeah. And so that was a lesson there, right? Because it's like she's literally had all the paperwork written up, and and they feel like, they own a bunch of investment properties, and on paper, they just don't qualify. So,
Right.
Very tricky.
Very.
Mhm.
Well, this is
Yes.
definitely a market where you need a buyer's agent to help guide you through, and you need a
Oh,
good loan officer on your team. This is not an environment where you save money by not having somebody represent you.
no. And I don't think I don't know what you guys are saying, but I've been, doing some open houses, and it seems like most people are being represented, or they say when they sign in, they say they have an agent anyway.
But it really sounds like we should be telling these buyers before they even go out and start looking. Do the finance step first, because a seller's market can be so disappointing to a buyer.
Right. Right.
For you to start, in a rush, you're not going to get the property that you've fallen in love with.
Right.
Some
No.
money in order first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing too is like, before people come to you, they've been poking around on Zillow for probably however long. And they've set their own search based on the little Zillow calculator that most of the time is not right. It doesn't have accurate interest rate. Interest rates are very specific to a person. Yes. So we all know that they sometimes come to you even misinformed. And then after they get done with me, after I do my numbers email, and, because there's what they qualify for, and then of course what they want to spend. And it's not always the same, right? That
Right.
most people don't want to spend what they qualify for. So that's the other big conversation that I help my clients, understand how to stay within their budget in terms of taxes and HOAs, and of course, taxes. I'm sure you guys hear this all the time from clients. People wanting to try to understand what their taxes will be next year when they buy that condo. Right?
Yeah, I haven't even opened my tax bill yet. I'm like, I'm just gonna open it.
Yes, yes, yes. Very, very, very frustrating.
I'm looking
Oh,
around.
shoot. Well, I just want you all to know that the couple who won my 17 division in the multiple offer, they had sold their place and they had nowhere to land. And she's due with a baby. And yes, so they pulled out every stop to win with price, terms, everything.
That's a walk up.
I know.
It's a top 4 walk up.
Yes, 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 it is.
Not a baby.
No, it is such a special property and they're very excited about it. But the other reason I'm bringing this up is, dear Lord, people, if you have to sell and then buy, work with an agent so that the timing gets right.
Right. So how did they do that? Did they do a rent back on their the
No,
house that they sold?
no, they're they're doing a same day close and move.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But they
That's
fortunately won mine, so they have a place to land.
right. Right.
I'm telling you,
Yeah. That's tricky.
there's stress in that family.
Right. 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 So
Anyway,
back to appraisals real quick, because I just saw two of my emails come in. Not only I've actually had a lot of appraisals coming in over contract price.
Yes.
oh, that's
Over.
interesting because they typically just come in right at the number.
No, I just had two pop in my email this morning that
No kidding.
Don't
and
tell
then they're not like I had one that was a significantly over, but 5,000, 7,000 over, but still, I mean, that's
equity.
Yes,
Equity. Yeah.
it's great.
I love it.
Yep.
Well, Carolanne, thank you so much for joining us and talking through these issues. So important
Yes.
to buyers today, and
Of
important for
course.
sellers to understand what the buyers are going through if you have to choose among various multiples. So,
Absolutely.
and then of course, the word to the sellers is if you are thinking of selling in the next 2-3 years, now would be a very good time to do that.
Absolutely.
Excellent time. So that's all we have for today, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. Get Carolanne's information from the comment section below. We're both going to put it in our Facebook so you can reach out to her. And we'll see you next time on Monday Morning Coffee. Bye,
All right.
guys.
Have a lovely Monday. Talk to you
Thanks.
later.
Bye.
Bye.